Welcome back, child. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome to Black. Honey and child, the weed doctor is getting extra extraordinary fancy today. Child, we are trying to go live through StreamYard now. Come on, Instagram. Come through. Come through for the weed doctor, okay? Don't play with the weed doctor today, okay? Now, welcome back, all my ladies and gents. We are going to be talking about hair loss today, okay? Again, and we're going to be talking about telogen effluvium. This is a very child telogen effluvium. We're going to talk about what causes telogen effluvium, and this is why the weed doctor has been telling you to put it on the altar, okay? And get you some stress vitamins, some CBD. Okay, we're going to be talking about the major effects of stress on hair loss. And not only, I know last week we talked about alopecia areata, but this week, with alopecia areata, we were talking about that some of the main factors of alopecia areata could be from environmental stressors. And of course, stress is an environmental stressor. All right. And so today we're just going to be highlighting. Child, the weed doctor got her notes out today. Okay. I didn't come to play. Weed doctor came to slay. So pretty much with this, with this telogen effluvium, a lot of people during the pandemic experienced this, with all the stress that was going on. A lot of people that were contracting various different type of viruses, they were experiencing great amount of hair loss. People who have never experienced hair loss before were starting to, deal with hair loss. All right. And typically this form of hair loss, it happens about 90 to 120 days after a stressful event. And then also it typically goes back within 6 to 9 months. Now, there are some individuals, they are underneath chronic stress. So if you're underneath chronic stress, like I know there's some people who are maybe grieving and things like that, or maybe they have a very stressful job. Okay. Maybe they could be in some stressful relationships. Child, maybe their kids are stressing them out. Okay. Child, we're going to send them off to the military school. Okay. But anyways, so I'm just going to name some different type of stressful events. And you may have a couple of your own. Okay. Giving birth, moving, divorce, new job, a health crisis, death. Okay. And so these are just some of the different things. Now, I was looking online. I do research before I do my different lives. And now there was someone saying that, I don't know, you guys might have to check this out, but he's a trichologist, a popular one on the internet. And he says that he uses topical melatonin for the scalp. Now, I don't know about that. I'm going to have to do a little bit more research. So, and we're going to get later on and talk about some of the different type of ways to cope with stress so that it's not, adversely affecting your scalp and your hair. So I know the last time that we talked, the weed doctor says that she's going to go over some of the stages of stress, and we can determine this through the hair tissue mineral analysis. Child, the weed doctor is going to put in the comment section for all you guys out there, because there are a lot of it's a lot of people want their tissue analysis going on, okay? And so with this test, this is why we try to get all of our clients to try it. And it's very, very informative. It can help you in so many ways, especially for those who are trying to figure out what type of alopecia that you are dealing with. And if your alopecia is being projected or even being worsened by your overall stress level. Child, did you know that there was a hair analysis test that can detect these things? Okay. So with these hair analysis tests, you can find out if you're in an inflammatory state, if you're in a catabolic state, if you're in an exhaustion stage of stress, alarm stage, resistance. And the weed doctor is just going to briefly read to you some of the different traits of those different things. And actually, the one thing I like about the mineral analysis, it actually kind of favors some of the Hans CVA. That is a guy that developed a formula to find out what stage of stress you are in. And this also affects not only does stress can affect your hair, but it actually starts to give you different type of symptoms. So you can find out after this video, by listening to this video, and you may have to come back and listen to it to find out what could be contributing if you have any of these symptoms. Number one, and how to work and book with the weave doctor, and to try to alleviate some of these problems. All right, so okay, we already talked about the different types of stressors, the environmental stressors, especially stress, and some of the things that bring them on, whether it be a job, marriage, relationships, family, all these different types of things like this. So, one of the first stages of stress, and if you get your hair tissue mineral analysis, we will be able to find this out, is the basic burnout stage. And with these charts, I'm going to show you what the chart looks like. Now, this is okay. Let me pull out my handy dandy notebook. So this is what the charts are looking like. I don't know if you can fully see it because I do have like this little thing. Okay, you can see it a little bit. And so each one of these have the macro and the micro minerals, so the different type of minerals that we test for and the heavy metals. So, child, now this is with mine. My sodium is doing just about perfect, okay? Child, my sodium doing the bomb.com. All right. So anyways, so these are just some of the indicators. So if you get this test done, if you have a low sodium, and this also is indicative of your adrenal activity. So you're probably dealing with your adrenals are not pumping out the right amount of energy or the cortisol that it needs. All right. And this burnout stage can affect 50% of the population. All right. And there are a lot of people who are dealing with alopecia, telogen effluvium, and with alopecia areata. I've actually known some people that when they started certain jobs, they immediately started to lose their hair. Okay. And this is one of the, this is just showing you how these things work and why you need to properly remineralize your body and take seriously and do different type of coping mechanisms to help relax your body. All right. And this comes from prolonged chronic stress, and it can be found in slow oxidizers. And so there's the fast and the slow and the mixed oxidizer. And if you get your hair tissue analysis, we go over all that. But the slow oxidizer, these are people who generally can probably carry a little bit more weight, and they're a little bit slower as far as their metabolism. All right, and we already talked about this, having low adrenal dysfunction, having some kidney weaknesses. So maybe you could be dealing with edema. You got some tests ran through your primary care doctor, and then letting you know that your kidneys are not filtering properly. And these are just some more symptoms: fatigue, depression, allergies, weakened adrenals, low blood sugar and blood pressure, dry skins, cravings for salts and sweets, joint pain, and chronic illness. Okay, and some people just think they be being hungry. Sometimes you could be suffering from chronic prolonged stress, and therefore it is causing you to have all of these excess, desires for salty or sweet food. Also, the same type of people have a high calcium shale and a low sodium potassium. And some people, when they get this test done, child, it can reveal so much about you. That's why it is so imperative. You can pretty much find out if you are in an overall good, healthy state of stress. Good healthy state as far as your health is concerned. So it's a very good indicator, how you're lining up in that department. All right. All right. So this is just with this form. Now the next state. So we've already went over that. Now we're going over the exhaustion stages of stress. And now this one pretty much affects those that's operating in the parasympathetic state. So they're not resting and digesting or eliminating properly. So maybe if you're somebody who's chronically constipated, you're not sleeping well, your sleep is always interfered, these different types, you can possibly be dealing with this type of problem. So these are just some things looking to. Also, the calcium is going to be could be very, very high if you get your hair mineral analysis done as well. All right. And the weave doctor, child, I got all these daggone notes. All right. So we already talked about, let me make sure I'm not skipping over that anything. All right. So the exhaustion. Okay. All right. All right. And then, so pretty much there's different triggers with these different forms. And also with the resistance stages, with the resistance stage of stress, the sodium tends to fall, and then exhaustion, and the sodium has very, very low levels. All right, so these are just some different indicators. Now you probably won't be able to figure it out. That's why I get some clients who get these tests done. And they be trying to tell the weed doctor, you know, try to tell me about interpreting the chart. It's a science that works with this, with the mineral balance of science, and we doctor study and got certified in this. So, you know, all right, so just leave it into the hands of a professional. So now we're going to talk about some of the different problems that stem from some of these. We already talked about earlier some more issues. Now we're going to talk about some more different types of stress that can affect the body too. Nutrition deficiency, bacterial, viral infection. So these can happen as you keep getting worse and worse with your actual health condition, with your stress being unmanaged. Hardened arteries, toxic metals in the enzyme sites, poor circulation. Okay, heat and cold problems, and just all these different types of things, can actually affect, make it more harder for you and make you deal with more symptoms, or these could just be some of the symptoms that you're dealing with already. All right. So, child, the weed doctor got so many notes. Next time, now I actually pulled these notes from a long time ago, but I believe they're still pretty helpful right now. All right. So now, we talked about that, the different types of stress. And we may have to pull out this book. Child, let the weed doctor get the book. Because with me, the weed doctor like to make sure, child, sometimes you got notes. This daggone notes looking like some daggone chicken scratch. Okay. How many of you guys back in the day was writing some notes that looked like some chicken scratch? All right. So we're gonna, child, I thought those notes were pretty good, but I just want to make sure, because it's looking like some of the different stages of stress. Child, the stages of stress is all over the place. So it's a little bit of the Hans-Celio methods, and then also with the mineral balance. All right, so let me just make sure I have this, get my stuff together. So make sure I'm not confusing no one anyway. All right. Ooh, child, because the weed doctor hate to be confusing. Don't nobody got time for that. Okay. All right. Take a look. That's in the book. The weed doctor is going to find it today. To make sure we can address all these different topics. May have to go over back. We're almost getting there, you guys. Because those notes were pretty good, but I still felt like, sometimes it's just not as organized as you would like it. All right, resistance. Now we may have to come back and do it, but I'm trying to find the exact one. Okay. Stress theory of disease. Let's see if that is going to be. Child, the weed doctor don't be playing. I got to make sure that I'm on my P's and Q's. We don't want to be confusing nobody. Because I'm like, woo, child. Now, that's one thing about the weed doctor, honey. All right. So they talking about Hans-Celio. All right. Look like we're getting a little bit of somewhere. All right. Now, if I can't find it, I'm trying to get the more organized version. Those were the steps and stuff, but I feel like some of the notes towards the end wasn't as clear as the weave doctor normally would like it. And if I don't find, child, if I don't find it, we're going to have a part two of this. But overall, those are pretty much the indicators. We're just trying to make sure that nobody misses out on anything. All right, so look like we're getting a little bit closer. They actually talking about the things that we doctor was talking about, the resistance stage of stress. All righty tighty. Child, they ain't trying to get a weed doctor all the information. That's one thing about some of these big old books. You got to pick through all of it. We're gonna have to come back for some of those to make sure I have everything properly written down. Because I'm looking at all these daggone notes, child. Is over here, is over there, is over everywhere. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, anyways, now we did talk about, pretty much how being in these states, depending on either whether it's the exhausted stage of stress, the resistance stage, or the alarm stress, they're all are going to have various different types of symptoms. You might be with we're just going to next time we're probably going to find out the exact symptoms for each one. Now we did get it for one category, but I think it got more mixed towards the end. But for example, for those, these are just some of the different type of issues. You're being subject to blood sugar, cardiovascular problems, um, having a low sodium, reduced immune response, okay? Being in a catabolic state, so your body is tearing down faster than building up, all right? Also being in a fight or flight, so, dealing with some of these, being in fight or flight, anxiety, having a lot of that going on, all right? So the weed doctor, the next time we're going to get more, because these notes, child, woo, Lord. Now, these, they just all over the place. Okay, so for the alarm, generally found in mix of fast oxidation types of fast oxidizer, which we talked about earlier, they deal with low sodium potassium. So these are just different things that I will find out. But we're going to address it more. And so, anyways, depending on, it doesn't matter what stage of stress that you are in, as far as, we're trying to figure out the exact stage. I thought that we was going to find out the exact, we just had some basic tidbits in here, but we're going to go over next week and find out for each one. We did get the basic burnout one. So that was something that we already did earlier. You guys can go back over that. And those people could be dealing with fatigue, depression, allergies, weakened adrenals, low blood sugar, blood pressure, dry skin, craving for salt, sweets, joint pain, and chronic illness. And about 50% of the population it is in this state. And we briefly went over the exhaustion state as well. All right, and somewhat of the resistance too. We just talked about some of the different charts that, if the weed doctor's reading it, with your sodium being low and things like that. So that's why when you get the hair tissue mineral analysis, you want to make sure that your minerals are at an optimal level. If not, you could be probably subject to dealing with more alopecia, hair loss. All right. So now we are going to talk about some of the ways to adapt to some of the stress. The next class, the weed doctor, going to have her notes on lock. And I thought we had, as far as, so we're going to break down the 3 steps and what happens at the biochemistry level at each one, and for you to possibly find out from the notes that the weed doctor figures out what stage of stress that you're dealing with, so that baby that you won't be playing with your life, okay? Now the weird doctor think that she is in the burnout stage, because I had some of the, not all, I had some of the different symptoms, and so the weed doctor's working on that. I take me an adaptogenic herbs, I take a homeopathic herb, so it's different things that you can do to strengthen the body. Also, I started taking a vitamin A, Cataplex A and C supplement by standard process, and those also help to build up the adrenals so that you will be able to adapt to the stresses in your environment. So either a lot of times you can adapt to the stressors. It's best if you can, child, if you can help it, it's best if you can remove the stressor completely. But sometimes we are unable to do that in our lives. So, for example, having a job. I wish I could, I wish people could just say, "Ooh, child, I'm stressed. I can't even work no more." Okay. And sometimes, if you're dealing with that, and there's some people they're struggling, like, just their job, a day to day is just such an arduous task. The way doc suggests that you probably look into a therapist or a life coach to figure out what is causing you to have so much stress on the job. Sometimes it could just be that you're dealing with just mental health issues. You're just struggling day to day, barely getting out of bed. You're having all these issues, so it's making just basic things that should be so easy hard for you to function on a day-to-day basis. So these are just some things. And a lot of sometimes people of color, they may not believe in, religious people may not believe in getting therapy, but I believe that it could be needed if you feel like it's affecting your overall mood. If child or your family members say that you're acting too crazy and cranky and mean, okay, or if you just like we said, you feel like every day is a struggle for you to do basic things in your day to day, then your child, the weed doctor suggests that there's something to look into. Now they do have pastors as well. Only thing sometimes, even from my own experience, you have to be careful not to get too involved, the spiritual things, and then also someone pretty much directing all of your moves in life, because ultimately you are in charge of your own life. You can go and get coaching, even some of the coaching from a therapist. They are not necessarily telling you what you should be doing in all these different aspects of your life. Okay. So they're just giving you the tools and suggestions and telling you, even like I guess if a pastor would, especially if he's using his powers appropriately, he'll just tell you, this is in the Bible, this is that. So, some things, can be given by a pastor and some things cannot, because a pastor is not necessarily a life coach. So they may not be able to help you in all the different little small parts that you have to figure out within your own self, because we are self-willed individuals. God has given us self-will, and we have to find out within our will, what we're gonna do. Okay. All right. So pretty much these are just some coping, and this is some research that the weed doctor has done for dealing with telogen effluvium or alopecia areata. Or if maybe you're not fully in the maybe you haven't have any type of telogen effluvium, maybe you're just dealing with stress too. So these are just helpful for those who do not have hair loss, but maybe you could deal with some shedding, or maybe you could help send this video to somebody who who just gave birth or having dealing with a stressful situation in their life. So some of the biggest things for coping with stress, I was doing research, was dealing with the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So this is a very, very important thing, and these are just some of the basics. Sometimes you just got to be able to get the basic things in life before you try to strive for the things on the top of the list. Okay, and this can help. Okay, so these are just in the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Some of the basic things are having food. Make sure you're having food, housing, that you're not having financial distress. So some of these different things can really, if you do not have these things, baby, it can really, really, really affect your stress. Right now we're dealing with a lot of things with the government. Some people are worried about if they're going to be hired, fired. That can affect your stress. Okay. But at least one thing about that situation, at least if you get some of these things down packed, that's why the weed doctor, I really do believe in saving and not trying to live paycheck to paycheck and overspending. Because if frequent things that come out of the woodwork can happen to you, then you have no way to, fall back on those things. The average, I've been looking at, what is his name? David, I can't think of his name, but anyways, he's a financial advisor online. And pretty much he tells people that they need to have at least a minimum of 3 to 6 months of savings saved up for all of their expenses. So if crazy stuff like this happens, the government, then you will be covered. And this is just something to work towards. So I'm not saying I'm perfect with this, but I'm always striving to do this. And this, this can kind of help with coping with stress. There's some people, the minute that they find out maybe like your hot water heater broke or something like that, or maybe something with your transmission, and that can cause a lot of stress. Or maybe your gas, not your gas, but like any type of thing in your car, if it's not working properly, and if you have not saved and steward over your money properly, it can stress you to death. Okay, child, you about to stress out, and this is for people. Forget the people who are doing averagely well, but child, the people. Some people, if you just $10 can mess you up, baby. Okay, you're not even gonna be able to get no gas. You're gonna be pushing your car on the side of the road. So that's why, these are just some things. I'm not saying to get all these things together, but these are just some ways that, different type of psychologists and other different type of people who study, the mind and also characteristics of humans have figured out ways to limit stress in your life that are supposed to be proven methods. Okay, so focusing on your needs, making sure that you are balancing the money properly. So if anything comes up, also, I know we talked about that, but the next step would be food and safety. If you say like if you're in a tumultuous relationship, that can be, that can really, really affect your overall stress. So these are just things to work on, evaluate your life. If there's people get sometimes you have family members. I've been reading a lot of different books on boundaries, things like that. You could be dealing with family members that could be really affecting your peace and your mental health. Constant stress, not setting boundaries. And the Weed Doctor has her book coming out soon. Child, the Weed Doctor book, I'm almost ready. It's called Eat Healthy, Be Happy. And we talk about all these different types of things with the stress, ways to avoid stress and reduce stress in your life. So, baby, so your head won't be falling out. Okay. And so we have to keep working on looking into this Maslow hierarchy of needs so that we're able to, to be able to help others. I think the top of it was to be able to, help others and to, you know, I have to look back over that at that chart. But pretty much it was like dealing with spiritual things and things like that and other the basics, we do have to work on the basics in life. All right. And this can help, with coping some of stress. All right. All right. So we address that. The next thing is having a strong support system. I know there are a lot of therapists who believe in that. Sometimes if your support system is causing you stress, baby, you may have to find another one. Okay. But these are just some things that I've heard a lot of therapists talk about, and even like, with the Maslow hierarchy of needs. So finding community, that is something that is needed in life, and so when you have some of these different things in your life, it can help make you feel less stress and, help you overcome stress and you feel more secure within yourself. All right. All right, so we talked about the Maslow hierarchy needs. You guys can check these things out on the internet, and make sure that you are following it. We're not going to go over and check it out again because we're going to talk about it next week as well. So we're going to break down the alarm, resistant, and exhaustion stages of stress, and we already hit on the burnout and alarm, but we're going to really break down, what are the symptoms so that, because there's a lot of people losing hair from stress, okay? And especially with alopecia areata, that is an autoimmune condition and it is triggered. That's a very popular form of hair loss a lot of African American people of color deal with. All right, so the next thing is, they said exercising. That really, really, really helps. Food and diet also can too. If you eat a lot of sugar and carbs, you are draining and depleting your body even more, okay? So that is just something we're going to have to do, especially if you're dealing with alopecia and you already know that you're in a very stressful situation. You probably want to definitely, that is just a quick thing that you can do. Remove a lot of the sugar and carbs. Stop drinking all the sodas. Go over to water, things like that, spring water. All right. The next thing is exercise. Exercise has been proven to reduce stress. Okay. And it helps with the cardiovascular. So these are just things that you can do. Make sure you incorporate, definitely make sure you got that Maslow hierarchy of needs. If you're dealing with toxic people in your life, you may have to cut them out or at least reestablish some boundaries because that could be the cause of that. Or maybe if you're that unhappy in your job, you may have to start taking steps to finding you a new position and or reevaluate the current position that you're at and make it find it so that it's more easy for you to attain on a very basic level. Or like we were saying earlier, consider therapy, and a help group that can help you, whatever what you're dealing with. All right. So the next thing is deep breathing. Deep breathing has been very, very, very important. A lot of people I've heard even square breathing. Okay. I believe it has like 3 steps. So you guys can Google some of these things. It talks about deep breathing exercises. So this can really, really help reduce stress. It helps you to just do some research on this. It is you can just go on YouTube. You ain't got to go and get your no encyclopedia like back in the day. Okay, all you got to do is go on YouTube and look at deep breathing. All right. The next thing is binaural music. I may be pronouncing it wrong, but pretty much this music, some of these different musics out here, I think they call it alpha, beta, and delta music, and even theta music. These different forms of music, these have been helped to reduce. It helps with with your brain. So nowadays they have certain music out. I know a lot of us like to listen, may like to listen to trap or hip hop music or whatever you like listening to. But there are proven studies. So maybe the next time that you're in a stressful situation, you might want to look into this. I'm going to actually look into it myself, because, some of us deal with ongoing chronic situations, maybe headache, migraines, dizziness, things like that. And you may need to have something to relax your brain, listen to different type of music. There's a lot of studies out there. Even when I was doing a little bit, just looking over the notes from a year or two back. I think it's like 2 or 3 years old with these notes. All right, that's why the weed doctor has to go back and readjust for next week. All right, just even the delta binaural music. This helps with sleep and healing. Okay, so this can produce healing waves and improve your sleep through your neural pathways. All right, so you can't get any better than that. Also, a lot of people like to resort to religion, doing prayer and meditation. That has been very helpful for me as well. Now make sure that whatever religion you choose, they don't get no more stress because sometimes you can run into situations where some organizations they're giving you a lot of stress, and that's not good. Or burning out yourself while working at the organization. So that's something to look into, especially sometimes a lot of voluntarial type of community-based type of things can put additional stress if you do not set boundaries. So that's something to make sure that you look into. All right. Also, the next thing is the CBD. All right, the weed doctors will be taking these things as well. I just started. I now have low THC drops that I've started taking, and I bought me some gummies. So these are just different things that you can do to reduce stress, especially if you are dealing with chronic conditions. These and those gummies, maybe that could be good for people who are dealing with anxiety. Maybe they're dealing with post-traumatic stress. Maybe they're just maybe now some of these gummies, child, is strong. If you get like the 20, what is it, like the 10 milligrams, 20 milligrams, baby, it's like you smoking a full, blue. Okay. So you gotta, you may want to start off small. If you're just trying to reduce stress, you may not need all those milligrams, maybe anywhere from 1 to 4, maybe possibly 5 milligrams. But if you're trying to, you know, just this is just for relieving stress. This is not for turning up necessarily. So there's different strands of CBD and CBG and also with the THC that can help with actually alleviating stress. So these are just some things besides taking anxiety medication. So the weed doctor is all for CBD and marijuana usage, especially if it's done in a way where it's not abusive or, it's actually helping to alleviate your medical problem. All right. So these are just some of the different tips. And baby, these are some good tips right here. The weed doctor, I'm going to get me some binaural music. I'm going to look up that today, and I'm going to reevaluate my my Maslow hierarchy of needs. Because this is very, very important. Now, let me look on my phone since I've been talking about it all day. Maslow hierarchy of needs. You know, these things are important. And so it helps kind of put things in perspective and it makes sure that you're not getting caught. Okay. All right. So that's like the Reed doctor said, the physiological needs: air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction. Baby, if you ain't got none of those, some of these, what they call it, these homosexuals, child, they trying to find somewhere to stay. Okay. And they willing to do anything, okay, to get up in your house. Okay. All right. The next thing is the safety needs: personal, security, employment, resources, health, and what's this? This is property. Okay, so these are just safety needs. So for me, that would just mean safety needs. Just being safe. Okay, make sure that you are not in any type of anything that's bringing harm to you on a daily basis. There are some situations like we talked about earlier, where anytime that these things are you in situations where people are harming you, it's getting too toxic, whether that be family members, loved ones, jobs, maybe, there's some jobs, like I know there's some people who are working in the force, being a police officer. A lot of those people had to retire, or maybe look to get out of those jobs because they can promote issues further down the line, because every day you're worried about your safety. And imagine if you were married to a spouse like within that position, that could make you stressed out too. Okay. I'm not saying they don't need no spouses as well. But, in those situations, that's when I think a therapist would be great. Or, just reevaluating some of these different type of jobs and situations that we had. Like I think it was Tabitha Brown. She said she retired her husband, okay? Now, even though Wendy Williams was talking trash about her. But, maybe for her, that was a big thing. She was worried about the safety of her husband. Could you imagine her worrying day in and day out, and him worrying day in and day out about his safety on the job as a police officer? So in certain jobs, in situation, maybe if you was working in a jail, that probably could be another situation too as well. All right. So that's level 2. All right. Level 3 is love and belonging. All right. Friendship, intimacy, family, a sense of connection. So these are very important things. And a lot of the therapists, and I didn't even realize this today, some of the stuff that the therapists always talk about that you should have, it is in this daggone Maslow hierarchy of needs. Child, you can skip your therapy. I'm being funny now. If you need some therapy now, go to the therapist, okay? But I'm just saying, like, these are important things, and these can help to alleviate stress. All right, the next thing is esteem, respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, and freedom. And I'm laughing at this sometimes, and this is good too, because sometimes people try to get esteem, and baby, they barely even got their safety needs or psychological needs met. Physiological needs met. Shelter. They ain't even got no place to live in. They sit up there trying to be a boss on social media, trying to be the top dog. Okay, get over 100,000 subscribers. Okay, and that's the problem with some of our youth out here too. So this is just some things to look into. All right, and then the last one is self-actualization, desire to become the most that one can be, and that is very important in life. There's a lot of people that they end up becoming like yogis. Maybe they may end up becoming like spiritualists. Want to go into the ministry, different things like that. Those things are very important. However, it is also very important to do all these things in this order or very close to it. And I believe that this is how you get it. Because I've had some things, I've been part of situations where I did not do some of these things in this order. And I felt like it made things more stressful. It's hard to be able to help others in a way, and then you don't have some of your basic needs met. Okay. All right, child. And they said this is a theory in psychology comparing 5-10 model of human needs, often depicted in a hierarchical levels within a pyramid. All right. All right. So these are just some things to look into, you guys. We hope that was very informative. So make sure, and there one of the ways with Telogen Effluvium. sometimes it's not necessarily, it's kind of all throughout the hair. So it's not like a necessarily bald spot. So if you're just dealing with excessive shedding out of nowhere, you're dealing with this periodically. This could be from telogen effluvium, also anemia, things like that. So we're going to have one more week on the stress, and then we're probably going to get into talking about how dietary issues affect the hair as well. So you see why we have to get our hair tissue mineral analysis if we want to find out what is causing. So some of us just want to do the basics. We just want to put a little bit of hair grease, pat on top of your head, and think that you're solving your hair loss. It doesn't necessarily work like that. You can reduce inflammation in the scalp. You can reduce the dihydrotestosterone in your scalp and if inflammation. But a lot of times you have to go at a deeper level. Some of these things, it's a holistic approach. And I do holistic trichology because I'm a holistic practitioner as well. So some things have to be addressed, with this safety, like look at the Maslow hierarchy of needs, with the job, being in a job that is causing you stress, or a job that's dangerous. Like some of these jobs are very dangerous. Even jobs of being a teacher, different family members that Weave Doctor has, some of them are being put in situations that are not necessarily healthy. So we have to keep finding ways to modify things so that we can have the most healthy lifestyle. And that could be even, within your own communication styles, how you're speaking to people. A lot of times, if you give out a lot of negativity, you're bound to receive it back. Okay, honey. All right. And some of us don't understand that. So these are just all things to look into. All right. So we hope that was a wonderful and fabulous show. All right. And make sure to check out the Weave Doctors ebooks. We have, for the blueprint on alopecia regrowth. I think that's only $9, child. $9. Okay. And I know one thing that Weave Doctor cannot wait. I'm going to watch next Clarissa Shields and Perkins fight tonight, baby. I ordered my subscription online. I can't wait to see it, honey. And she had the nerve to have papoose on her side. What is it? She was tying up her daggone Timberlands, okay? Child, that's what I'm talking about. What a man, what a mighty good man. It's sad that him and Remy Ma are not together anymore, but sometimes in relationships, and this goes back to some of the hierarchy needs. People are taking advantage of people. They could be mistreating people, getting toxic, and who wants to deal with that? All right. So thank you so much for your time. And we're next week, we're not going to start on her notes early, okay? And we're going to have we have some of the stages that were itemized and some of the exact symptomology for those different stages. But we're even going to have it down even more crisp because it was a child that stuff was blah, blah, blah. Okay. All right. So we'll see you later. Bye now. Make sure to inbox the Weave Doctor if you want to find out more about booking with us. Follow the link tree for booking online. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to DM us. All right. Bye.